Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal Friday. If you guys are tuning in on Saturday, hopefully you guys are having a blessed Saturday as well. So this is going to be the final show of this week, and there we go. We got audio. Just want to make sure we're good on that end. So with that being said, though, we got a lot to get into today's show. Starting off, we're going to get into a fight recap of the British fight card that went down this early hours of today in my hours. And then I'm going to transition into a fight preview of the fight going down at the Barclays Center tomorrow night, which is going to be featuring Danny Garcia's farewell tour to Brooklyn. And then we'll be wrapping up the show with lots of boxing news that came out over the duration of the past 24 hours. So lots of stuff to get into on tonight's show to wrap up the week. But as always, if there are any comments or questions that you guys have for today's show, drop it in the chat and I'll make sure to address it. And your guys' comment will also pop up on the screen, so you guys can check out your chats there as well. So let's keep it active tonight. Let's go talk about whatever it might be. But let's hop right into it, though. A fight recap of the fight that went down in the UK this morning. Went exactly as I had according to plan, exactly as I had set up. So let's just start off with this. George Liddard stops Kieron Conway in round 10 to win the British and Commonwealth middleweight titles. Liddard becomes one of the youngest British middleweight title holders of all time. Eddie Hearn has also confirmed to Boxing Scene that Kieron Conway suffered a hand injury in round 8. All right, let's just break this down real quickly. This fight went exactly as I had expected. Exactly. When I came on the show yesterday, I made it very clear that when I came back on this show to address this fight featuring George Liddard and Kieron Conway, that I would be able to profoundly make the statement that George Liddard will be one of the next stars in British boxing. And I'm going to break down the fight first before I go on about how special I think he is. But let's start off with this. This fight was an utter masterclass by George Liddard. Completely dominated. Kieron Conway was not on the same level as George Liddard. Nowhere even comparable. He went in there, absolute brutal beatdown on Kieron Conway. He probably won the first 5 rounds to begin with without really anything bad happening. And then we go through it. And as we progress through the fight, round 8 comes around. You can tell Kieron Conway hurt his hand. Did not look good. The towel gets thrown in round 10. George Liddard becomes one of the youngest British and Commonwealth middleweight title holders of all time. Phenomenal. Kieron Conway is a good fighter. Do not take anything away from that man. He's a good fighter. He'll be back on the British scene. He's a good domestic fighter. What I think George Liddard proved to people this past fight was this. That George Liddard is going to be one of the next faces of British boxing. One of. He is extremely young. But on the large scale of things, he's not just going to be a star on the British scene. When we talk about George Liddard, this is a man whom I do believe will be on the world scene within the next 18 to 24 months competing for world championships. He is a special, special talent. And in a time of frame right now where we are questioning and wondering who will emerge as one of Britain's next biggest stars in boxing, who is the future? Who can you hand the keys off to? Now, I understand this might be a little early, but I do firmly believe that George Liddard is extremely in that mix right now as one of the next rising stars in British boxing. He has a chance to be one of those next stars. He has the persona, the personality, all the different aspects outside of the ring, and then inside of the ring. He is a fun fighter to watch. He's explosive. He knows how to get the knockouts. He is a fan favorite. This is a man who I do believe you can put on the short list of fighters who have a legitimate chance at being one of the next faces of British boxing. That's how high I am on this man. He is already one of the youngest ever to win the middleweight title in the British and Commonwealth middleweight titles. Absolutely phenomenal performance, and he backed up exactly what I was claiming that he was going to do on last night's show. This man's special. I think it is time for British fans to get behind this man. I think he's a special fighter, and he has got a bright future. This is only the beginning. I think he will defend this belt a few different times, and then he's going to move on to the world stage within the next 18 to 24 months. He is going to have a very bright future, and if you are not familiar with him, for my American people tuning in right now, this is a man you guys need to start watching because it's only a matter of time until he makes his way stateside, and we're going to see him start competing against some of the top guys in the middleweight division. Phenomenal fighter. Keep your eyes on George Liddard. On the undercard, Shannon Ryan. She defeats Chloe Watson in the 4th round by KO. Then Jimmy Sains, who I do like the way he fights as well. Very high on this man. He's a problem in the future as well. Jimmy Sains defeated Troy Coleman in round 4 to win the vacant English middleweight title. Someone, once again, keep an eye on this man. I like the way he fights. Then Taylor Bevan, another young up-and-coming prospect to keep an eye on. He defeated Lucas Fernandez, round 5 TKO. at the super middleweight division, Adam McCaw, the youngster. He defeated Juan Alberto Batista in the 4th round of a 4-round fight. He's a super bantamweight right now. All these guys, lots of young prospects to watch in Britain. This was a very fun card. I think everybody delivered, and I think it should have given a little bit more juice into the British boxing fan base. And here's why. When you talk about the British scene, it has been a little bit on the downside right now. The best era of British boxing is a little bit past it now. Obviously, with Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and company aging out right now, there's been this little hole. Who's going to fill it? We only have, obviously, Nick Ball's world champion right now from the UK, and it's not looking too good. When you talk about the future, though, lots of great promising prospects fought on this card, and they all look very, very good. Let's get into a fight preview now of what's going to be going down this weekend. Not a massive card, but Danny Garcia will be making his farewell to the Barclays Center. If you're not familiar with Danny Garcia, this man has had quite the run in his career. A very fun, fan favorite fighter who made his home in the Barclays Center. He was the very first boxer to fight at the Barclays Center, which has now hosted countless events. This will now be his 9th event in the Barclays Center. He's made a home out here, and he's going to be ending most likely his career against Daniel Gonzalez, super welterweight fight. This should be a performance where Danny Garcia goes out there, has fun, gets the W, and then retires from boxing. That would be a perfect dream scenario for him. He deserves it. He's earned it. And when you see a boxer get to go out on their own terms, it is a very special thing. So hats off to Danny Garcia. I wish him the best of luck, and I'm excited to go see him in his final fight tomorrow night. On the undercard, Damian Neba versus Joey Dacaljo. Heavyweight fight going down. Chris Colbert versus Blas Ezequiel Caro. And then Gabriel Rosado will be making his return against Vaughn Alexander. The undercard is quite underwhelming. There was going to be a solid co-main event. That ended up falling through. Not sure exactly what happened between Al Bright and Richard Comey, but that fight is now off the books. So the heavyweight showdown I just mentioned moments ago is now in the co-main event slot. Let's get into some boxing news. First off is this. Did y'all see who Jake Paul was working out with? Yeah. Jake Paul is reportedly sparring, training, or working out in some way, shape, or form with none other than Raymond Ford. Incredible choice right there by Jake Paul. When you talk about a lot of guys, and I get Raymond Ford is not a 135-pound man right now, although it could be. He is at 130. It's only a matter of time until he's at 135. But if you are Jake Paul, unless you could have found a way to get Shakur Stevenson, Raymond Ford was a perfect man to go out there and make sure you can go out there and spar with and get ready for this fight. Beautiful idea by Jake Paul right here. And I saw some of the footage. It wasn't a lot that got leaked out, but some. I think Raymond Ford working with Jake Paul is huge for honestly both guys. For Raymond Ford, you get practice against Jake Paul, connection there, all that good stuff. But if you're Jake Paul, you get to go work out with one of the most talented fighters in all boxing. Y'all know how high I am on Raymond Ford. This is a man who I do believe will be a world champion at 130 in the near future. I think he'll be world champion at 135. And who knows? Maybe even make it up to 140. That's how special I think Raymond Ford is. And so if you're Jake Paul, you're working out with one of the best options you possibly could at the low weight classes in Raymond Ford. There's not a much better way to prepare for this fight than doing just that. So hats off to Jake Paul for making that happen. And I think that's going to help Jake Paul tremendously in his fight against Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, not a fight, exhibition. Although there has been rumors that there's actually going to be a KO bonus add-on to this fight. Not sure if I can confirm that or not. But still, great idea by Jake Paul adding Raymond Ford to his camp. I'm going to give you guys the facts about this situation now. Very controversial situation emerged in the boxing world today. I'm going to give you guys all the facts, and then you guys can hear what I have to say about this. Just going to read off the news report. Let's get to it. Zaire ABDULLAEV has pulled out of his fight with Adam AZIM on the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn rematch undercard on November 15th. The ring has confirmed. AZIM versus ABDULLAEV never was agreed upon. German Titov, promoter for Zaire ABDULLAEV, has told media that the Russian never agreed to a deal to fight Adam AZIM in London on the Eubank Benn 2 undercard. Here is the comment in the exact direct quote. Our foreign colleague's announcement was premature. We responded almost immediately that there was a 99% chance Zaire wouldn't box there, but they continue to count on that 1%. I wouldn't say it was particularly good financially. Zaire had better offers. It's just that the fight we had planned for him is better and more profitable for ABDULLAEV in terms of his future career. Titov also confirmed that the lightweight contender will return in November in a fight at the RCC Boxing Promotions event. A new opponent for AZIM will be announced shortly. What in the world? All due respect, why are we announcing, and actually I'm not even going to say we, Only one group is actually doing this. Why is Ring Magazine, Turki Al-Sheikh, all these people announcing fights before they get agreed upon? This is not the first time this has happened. We just got over the situation that the whole situation revolving around on the November 22nd fight card that completely came apart now. That was supposed to be a fight lined up for November 22nd. Obviously, Super Matias Dalton Smith fight, that was supposed to be made on November 22nd. It got announced, was placed on the card, and then it fell apart. And now it's going to be rescheduled for another fight date, not with Turki Al-Sheikh or Ring Magazine, but here we are. Once again, a fight gets announced between Zaur Abdullaev and Adam AZIM, a very highly anticipated fight, a fight that I was looking forward to. It was going to be a great fight on the undercard, and long and behold, we come to find out this fight was never agreed upon. So why are we continuing to announce fights for especially massive cards like this one was once again, and yet the fights are not even agreed upon? Who announces information and data prior to you agreeing on an actual fight? It's bizarre. What other industry do you do that? 99.99999% of the industries, what you're going to do is you're going to get the deal finalized. Everything is set in place. It is done. And when that point comes, you will announce a fight or you announce a decision. In this world, what that Turki Al-Sheikh and Ring Magazine is currently doing is we're announcing fights before they get agreed upon. Fans get excited, people start buying tickets, and then we come and we find out that this fight was never going to happen. And if this quote is accurate, that there was a 99% chance that Zaur would not box in this card, and they were truly just banking on that 1%, absolutely foolish. Unless you were planning on offering a massive bag to make this fight happen, absolutely foolishness on Ring Magazine, Turki Al-Sheikh, and whoever else was a part of this to try and announce this fight was going to happen. Irresponsible. I'm not sure why this is happening. It didn't happen in the beginning parts for the Ring Magazine situations, and now it's coming to fruition. This keeps happening. It makes no sense, but yes, Adam AZIM, that fight is now going to be announced shortly as to who he's going to fight in this replacement, but who knows what's going to happen. Very disappointing news, though, and it sucks for Adam AZIM. This man continues to go through a brutal, brutal year in terms of management. He has not had any fights come through that he should have been in. This should have been a big year boxing for himself, and he's just been left out of the ring for the most part, added on to cards, taken off of cards. Opponents obviously missing by doing the sauna situation back on the Cal Simpson fight card night. All this stuff happening to Adam AZIM this year. Unfortunate events, but yet here we are. Adam AZIM is once again without an opponent as we approach the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn showdown. Former world champion Joe Cordina will face Gabriel Flores on the Diego Pacheco, Kevin Sadajo undercard on December 13th in Stockton, California. This makes the new card is going to look like this. Diego Pacheco, Kevin Lele Sadajo will be the main event. Gabriel Flores versus Joe Cordina as the co-main event. Tito Mercado versus Antonio Moran, which might be the best fight on this card. That's third up. Sky Nicholson will be fighting Luna, and then Arturo Cardenas fighting Cesar Vaca. What a fight card. For a non-pay-per-view event, this might be one of the best fight cards we have seen all year. A great card going down December 13th, Stockton, California. Beautiful card put together by Matchroom right there, and it's not pay-per-view. So that's huge news right there. Oleksandr Usyk says that he will not be fighting Moses Itauma and intends to fight until he is 41 years old and then build a sports academy to train others. Oleksandr Usyk means that Oleksandr Usyk plans that he confirmed that he plans to keep fighting until 2028. All right. With the news now coming out that Oleksandr Usyk will be fighting until he is 41 years old, which puts us in the calendar year of 2028, all I can say is this. If, and I mean if, Oleksandr Usyk continues to fight the top guys, whether that be Joseph Parker, Aji Kabiel, even throwing if Tyson Fury comes back and gets a big win over Anthony Joshua and they do a trilogy, whatever it might be, if he gets a couple more big wins on his resume, and at the age of 41, Oleksandr Usyk retires from boxing, still undefeated, as the undisputed cruiserweight and heavyweight world champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk will be on the short list of the best fighters of all time. And I'm not just saying the best heavyweights or the best cruiserweights, one of the best fighters of all time. He will sit in the same company of some of the all-time greats in terms of his legacy. And that should excite fans, because I think most people expected that he would be moving on from boxing at the end of next year. But long hold behold, we now have confirmation that Oleksandr Usyk will be with us for at least a couple more years in the boxing ring, which should be huge news for all boxing fans. On the second part of that, Frank Warren has confirmed that Tyson Fury is targeting a trilogy fight against Oleksandr Usyk. Oh my goodness. Listen, I'm not against it, but there's a big but right there. What is that? It is that Tyson Fury must return and fight Anthony Joshua and defeat him, Or Fury can go out there and fight a guy like Caballero or someone else along those lines. The point is, Tyson Fury must return to the ring, get a big win, and then if he gets a big win, go ahead and fight Usyk. Makes plenty of sense. But if he thinks he's just going to walk right back up on in here and get an undisputed world championship fight against Oleksandr Usyk for a trilogy, that makes no sense. It should not happen. I hope it does not happen. So hopefully Fury has a game plan to go fight AJ in the summer of 2026 at Wembley Stadium, and the winner of that fight can go on and fight Usyk if they so desire. But do not go have Fury get another shot at Usyk right out the gate. That would make no sense whatsoever. Brian Norman Jr. says he will move up to 154 pounds to fight Boots. Massive news. Now, I'm not sure if this will happen in the near future or down the road, but what a fight would that be? Especially if Brian Norman Jr. goes and knocks out or defeats Devin Haney on November 22nd. Brian Norman Jr.'s name will be massive. It'll be sky high because think about his year. You have the KO of the year, most likely, against Jin Sasaki, and then you're going to go out there and you're also going to defeat Devin Haney. That would be a massive year for Brian Norman Jr. Absolutely phenomenal. And his name would skyrocket in popularity to the point where a Boots Ennis versus Brian Norman Jr. fight would be extremely appealing. Now, there's a lot of big ifs right here. Brian Norman Jr. needs to take care of business against Devin Haney, but hypothetically speaking, that would be one heck of a fight to make if they were to do it. And this was Brian Norman's actual quote. He said, "I do see myself going up to 154 eventually, and that fight is not off the table." What would a fight would that be? The last thing today's show, unless you guys have any more comments you guys want me to address, just leave in the chat as always, is this. Jermell Charlo called out Jaron Boots Ennis. He was on Instagram Live, and somebody asked him about the question as to whether or not you would take a Boots Ennis fight, and he sounded off on this. Quite shockingly, but he sounded off on this, saying he wanted Jaron Boots Ennis, that he would cause problems for Jaron Boots Ennis. And the list went on. He spent about a minute and a half, 2 minutes discussing this. And all I will say is this. I don't know where Jermell Charlo is mentally. I don't know where he's at physically. But if Charlo is actually ready to step foot in the ring right now, I'm not against that fight getting made. Both guys would have a massive payday. Thinking of the Jermell Charlo that we once knew, and I don't know if that's still there, but the one we once knew, that would cause stylistic problems for Boots Ennis to some extent. It would be a very good clash of styles right there. Something that I don't think anybody else at 154, outside of a guy like hypothetically Bud Crawford, could produce in the ring. That would be one heck of a fight to watch right there stylistically. Once again, if Charlo is the Charlo we once knew and loved, and if this fight were to be on the table, go ahead and make it. Obviously, I'm all for Virgil Ortiz getting made, but I don't see that fight getting made until the earliest of Cinco de Mayo weekend in May. Boots Ennis just fought a fight where he took 0 damage. 0. He can get right back in the ring early spring and still make that fight with Virgil Ortiz happen if he wants. So if you're Charlo and you are ready to fight, which I don't know if that is the case, go make this fight happen. I think American fans would love it. A big payday for everybody involved. It would be a great win name on the resume of Boots or Charlo. And if Charlo somehow pulled off that upset, Charlo would have his name right back into the mix of things on a very high level. So if I were these two guys, I'd get the managers on the phone and try to book this fight because it makes plenty of sense for a late February, early March fight between those two guys. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, Charlo has officially called out Jaron Boots Ennis, and I'm all for the fight getting made if they so deem wanting to make that fight happen. With that being said, though, I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in to tonight's show. I hope you guys have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the fights that's going to go down in the Danny Garcia fight if you guys watch that tomorrow night. But I'll be back live on Monday. I'll announce the guests on that show early on Monday. Have a great rest of your guys' weekend. May God bless you guys all. And with that being said, SchuZ out. God bless you guys.